up in Bellerive and living in Derwent Street in Bellerive, I was very familiar with the Bellerive Bluff, and we used to go there often and to the Bellerive Fort. And I noticed the degradation over the years, the weeds, the pittosporum, blackberries, cotoneaster, the vinca, and also people used to throw their rubbish off the bluff, particularly off the bottom of Gunning Street. And in the 1960s, people used to dig for bottles at the bottom of Gunning Street over on the bank, and they completely undermined the bank, and the road was in danger of actually collapsing. So when Doug and Joe Chipman moved from the mainland to Bellerive, they must have noticed all the degradation, and a meeting was called at the Bellerive Regatta Pavilion. I think Doug initiated that, and quite a number of people attended that meeting with the thought to forming a Landcare group. There was a lot of people there, and then we had another meeting up in Gunning Street, just an informal meeting on the grass off Gunning Street. I was encouraged to stand as first president, which I did, and Robert Eastman, he was the secretary, and Graham Rainbow was very involved right from the start.
And it began with a series of Sunday working bees, but then expanded well beyond that to a midweek group, which started off with 2 or 3 of us, but currently is up to about 7 on a regular Monday basis. In addition to that, I've had school groups come in, Farn, Hutchins, St Virgil's, MacKillop, Gilston Bay High when it existed, as well as dealings with the cottage school and Bellerive Primary School. I've worked with conservation volunteers, and for 18 months a very close and late friend of mine, Neil Matthews, and myself worked with a prisoner on a day release basis 2 days a week for about 18 months. And a lot of work was done during that 18-month period.
So I've been involved with the group since about 2004. In that time there's a lot of projects we've undertaken. I've been on the committee and just hands-on on the Sunday working bees. I think it's sort of being involved with the master plan in terms of bringing about changes like the cycleway and also all the plantings around it. So we had a lot of plantings before that, and just things like cleaning out drains, getting rid of weeds, making the place a lot nicer to be in and also pass through. So we work with councils, they're happy for us to do our bit, so we complement each other. And also just in terms of just driving change in what the community wants. Councils are a little bit removed. You know, like for example, they cut the grass and we'll do all the stuff like weeding and mulching and that sort of stuff. So my view is that we work together.
I love pulling weeds. I can pull twitch for hours, and the number of people that stop and say how nice it's looking, and you know how it's improved the place. Because when I first came to live here, there were no paths, no gardens. You weren't allowed to walk your dog along here at all. So it was very different.
I moved down here in January, and I liked the area so much, and when I saw that there was a local Landcare Coastcare group, I thought that'll give me something to do, to meet a few locals, participate in the community. It just makes the community involved in the whole activity, and the community feels more like ownership of it rather than it's a government problem to fix. You know, you're here, you live here, you can participate, you can make it a better place. You can make it more attractive, to increase the amenity of the place.
My favourite seat on the bluff. I love the tetragonia curtains draping down over the rocks, right? It's quite magnificent, right? I love it.
I've been fortunate enough to live here all my life, and I've seen so many changes to this waterside area here. The whole recent concepts by Landcare has revitalised the place, and the amount of people using this area is amazing now. Landcare workers do so much and so regular. It's really great to see.
major problem was the stormwater coming down the hill, coming round the bluff and flowing down through here and creating luxurious vegetation, unwanted vegetation. So one of our first major plans was set to clear this area, and it's been totally cleared. Here we have a sediment pond which students from the Polytechnic helped us build. It's been restructured since because it's had to be upgraded, but it slows the water and the water flows off to the left and to the right, and so it disperses the water through the gardens as well as controls the rate of flow and hence the amount of erosion. It comes down through here, gets into one pond, two pond, flows into here, flows down through there and out through that channel. Yeah. But you can see the weed growth because of the what's the name. The idea was to get rid of the eyesore of the black pipe by throwing jute over it. We've got, what's the name, trees growing here. That's got to come out, needs to go. But we've got native hops, native hop, native hop, native hop, which will grow into 4 metre high trees. So the passers-by won't see the what you see is all native plants, and for the most part these were gained through access to Andrew Stevenson down at Wild Seed beyond Sorrel, and I guess over time, no one's ever kept a tally, we would have put in thousands of plants over the 21 years. We are affiliated with Landcare Tasmania, and along the way the work done here has been recognised by Landcare Tasmania and also the Enviro Fund on a national level. So we do keep in contact with them, but don't get heavily involved, but appreciate the fact that they are there with support if needed. So our main relationship is with council and the local community.
I've been a member of the Coastcare group for about 5 years. I'm on the committee and I'm part of the Monday group. The main reason I joined the Coastcare group is it's a beautiful area. I walk down there quite a lot, and when I first came to Tasmania about 7 years ago, I was wanting to join an environmental group. I was walking along one day and I saw the contact phone numbers of Graham and Tassie, so I at least had a contact, and as they say now, the rest is history.
The main purpose of these newsletters, which are distributed through about 650 businesses and households, is to inform people what's going on and solicit support, whether it be financially or hands-on support. Initially when we started working this area, it was overgrown with weeds, a bit of blackberry, and we found this is one of the better areas to work with school groups. We stripped the whole area back, we put an undercoat, a base for weed retardant there with a plastic, covered with mulch, and then planted it right out with a variety of native plants. We need to go through this and pull out these spear grass there and probably trim back the pig face a bit. Erosion led the council review the whole section along here, and hence the big boulders were brought in to create a seawall there to retard any further loss of land. Mike Kilburn and Kate Bishop, who live behind the hedge over there, right, have more or less adopted from here for some considerable distance. So they're working both above the path and below the path along here.
And we're always interested in helping. We didn't want to join the organisation, we preferred to do our own thing at our own rate. And so we adopted a patch so-called of land near our house, and we'd come and work on it when we were able to, and when we felt fit.
We love gardening and love being outside, and the area that we have been gardening, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I think it's better than taking Prozac, really. It makes you fit and healthy, and I love watching the people walk past, the children and their prams and the mothers and the puppy dogs, and it's just wonderful.
Right, here we are on what was locally known as China Bay. Initially it was a quarry. After the quarry was terminated, I don't know when, it became an unofficial tip for the residents. The council came in and constructed this seawall to stop the undercut from the high level seas and the slippage, because the whole area was deemed to be unstable. Once the wall was in, there became a problem as to how do we manage the bank, get rid of the weeds. It was covered with jute netting. There's a fair amount of pinning in there, there's a fair amount of staking. There's quite a bit of wire in there to hold the embankment together prior to planting. Huge amount of mulch was brought in, thrown over the bank and raked into position by those with harnesses. And as you can see now, there's an enormous amount of regrowth here. So here we are 21 years later, and we're still going. There's always something to be done. Most major works have been done, but now it's a case of maintenance and keeping people involved to maintain that.